Welcome, everybody. We said the welcome at the beginning when some of you joined, and we'll keep saying it throughout the hour. We are so excited that you have taken the time to meet and talk with us, and that we can share with you our evening program. We are biased, there's no question about it, but we think it's the best around, and we're very excited to be able to talk to you about it. I'm Professor Catherine Carpenter, co-director of the evening program with my partner in crime, Bridget DeJarfis. I've been at Southwestern for a very long time, since 1980. I've been different incarnations as vice dean, but one of my passions is criminal law. And I teach criminal law to the first year class, and I am teaching criminal law to the first year evening class. I think that the evening program and evening students are just such a special breed. We'll talk about that in a couple of moments. Want to introduce the rest of our panel. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-director, Professor Bridget DeJarfis.
Hi, everybody. I am Professor DeJarfis, and I am very passionate about legal analysis and writing. It's not as interesting, and I guess as criminal law, but it is my passion. So I teach that in the first year. I teach the evening negotiations track. I'm also a Southwestern alum who went to school in the evening. And I was an engineer by day, went to law school at night, did it for 4 years. And, there were times where it seemed in the beginning like, oh my gosh, I've got 4 years. And I promise you, in a blink of an eye, it was over. And these guys will tell you that on the panel. You're in it for a moment, but then all of a sudden you blink and it's over and it's done. And you have this amazing experience, amazing friends, future colleagues, and just great memories. So welcome, and we're here to answer all kinds of questions and to demystify and debunk any myths that you might be curious about. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, let's hear from Dean Garkanian. Our colleague, wonderful guru at Southwestern, has taught through the evening program often, head of the externship program as well, and just all around fabulous professor, Dean Garkanian.
Thanks so much, Professor Carpenter. Welcome, everyone. I'm seeing familiar faces, familiar names. So nice to have you joining us today, which is part of your legal education. Everything that we do through the admissions programming is to help you acclimate into law school and get ready to start your classes. So keep coming to these events. As Professor Carpenter said, I'm on the faculty. I teach in the first year legal writing program, similar to Professor DeJarfis. I've loved teaching in the evening program. You bring so much experience and perspective to the classroom. And I also direct our externship program. So an elective course that you can work with an attorney, with a judge, learn what it is like to be an attorney and get school credit for it. So we'll talk about that a little later on as well. Very nice to have you all here.
Yeah, our point person on all of this and helps to make the admissions train run on time, Julie Spencer. Julie, you want to introduce yourself? A very important person to all of you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Julie Spencer. I'm Assistant Director of Admissions and the part-time program liaison for the office. So if you have any questions at all about applying the part-time programs, I'm your person. So I'm happy to facilitate any of that for you. And I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
And as important as we think we are, the most important people on this call, really, besides you, are our students. And so we're thrilled that we have 3 of them joining. Yes. And so we'll ask Kristen and then Michael and Elena to introduce yourselves. Kristen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen. After, I guess, this week, I will officially be in my 4th year. I work currently full-time as a paralegal. And then I guess just a little bit about me before I started law school. I graduated with a degree in business administration with an emphasis in management. I took about a 2-year gap before starting law school.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Mike Seeger. I am also like Kristen, a rising 4L, the evening program. I work full-time for a criminal defense law firm here in Los Angeles. I've been there for about 9 years, and looking forward to meeting everyone tonight and hopefully providing a little insight as a student about Southwestern and everything that the evening program has to offer.
One of the best things that happened to Mike during law school is he had a baby. And she turns 1 year old this next week. So
Next
congrats.
week, 1 year.
1 year this week, how fast it goes by. Elena.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Elena, and I am, as my colleagues here too, I put a 3L, but soon to be a 4L. As Professor DeJarfis mentioned, it literally flew by. I did not feel these 3 years of my life. I'm an internationally educated student and born overseas, educated overseas, moved here a few years back, and I work full-time as well at a personal injury law firm. Transitioning soon into a new firm, but I've been here for 6 years and kept my full-time position during the entire journey at Southwestern, and can't wait to meet you all.
Wonderful. We want to just briefly describe our evening program for you. We call it a reimagined evening program. It's now fairly established. We started in 2019 full bore. So this is a terrific program that we think works for you, works for your schedules. And as you can see from our 3 students, people come to this program from all different walks of life, all different degrees, different kinds of jobs that they have. We're very excited at Southwestern to be offered the kind of flexibility so that people who want to go to law school can do so even if they can't go on the full-time day. This is a very important part of our own DNA at Southwestern. I want to share my screen just for a couple of slides. I hope everybody can see this. We call our evening students warriors, and I think Kristen and Michael and Elena will understand. It may sound corny, but we believe it deeply. And that is our community is made up of evening warriors. And the reason we call you all warriors is because we know the sacrifice and the hard work and the dedication it takes to come to law school in the evening. This is not something that any of us take lightly. At the same time, we know it's doable. We know it's rewarding, and we know at the end of this, as the 3 will attest, you will graduate, you will be able to go on into other chapters of your professional life. The other reason we have this slide up is because Professor DeJarfis and I believe deeply in creating a community of our evening program. And so we have created and fashioned a program that includes, and we're so grateful for the administrative support by Dean Garacani and others, so that we have our own career services counselor just for the evening program. We hold meetings just for evening students. We help to work on the schedule so that we know that there are courses and classes that folks can take just for evening students, and we protect that. We are really your point people for it. And then we try to offer some fun activities as well in the grind of it, including over Zoom. We had a magician come. Professor Jarvis and I are really looking forward to being back in person and showering everybody with food. We believe deeply that law goes better with food. And so we're trying to get back in person to be able to do all of that. Want to share with you also what the reimagined evening schedule looks like. And rather than just talking about it, some of you may have seen it in prior sessions, but it's always good to repeat it. We just want to give you an idea of what the first year evening fall will look like. We made a commitment several years ago that our evening students will only come to campus 2 nights a week, and that for required classes, you will be in class 3 nights a week. One of those nights will either be on Zoom, so we call it synchronous, or doing asynchronous work, meaning work on your own. So 2 nights on campus and 1 other night where either you're sitting at your desk at the office or you're sitting at home and you're on Zoom for the class. And we came to that decision. We knew that we could create a great and rigorous and important law school program, but we also know that the traditional rule of going 4 nights a week to downtown Los Angeles can really be daunting for everybody as the traffic got more and more. And so this is what the schedule would look like. This is what it's looked like in the past. Just want to share it. Class in person starts, and will start this way this next year, starts on Tuesday night. We call that an in-residence class. So on Tuesday night, everybody will come for criminal law from 6 to 7:30 and will have me. We are planning, minus any great changes in COVID, we will be in person inside the classroom, and minus some very, very rare exceptions for those who can't be, we will be in person. I'm excited by that. 6 to 7:30. At 7:45, your legal writing class will take place again in person. Professor Jarvis is one of our laws professors, and the other professor is Professor Tracy Turner, a phenomenal professor as well. And the class will be split into 2 sections. That's Tuesday night in residence. Wednesday night, you come back to school for contracts, and you'll see that contracts goes from 6 to 8. That's two of your 3 units in contracts. That's all, 6 to 8. When you look at Thursday night, we use the phrase distance learning because you don't come to campus for that evening. You will find a place with internet, and you will have, for 1 hour in distance learning on Zoom, you will have contracts from 6 to 7, and then you will finish and wrap up the rest of your legal writing class, again over Zoom, your laws class from 7:15 to 8:45. For those who are wonky about credits, when you look at those courses, you will see that's 3 credit hours for contracts and 3 credit hours for legal writing. So then you look at criminal law, and I'm only with you for an hour and a half, but criminal law is 3 credits. The rest of criminal law is done what we call asynchronously. Every week you will have assignments that you do, bite-sized pieces that you do that will be due on Sunday night. You can do them at any time during the week you want. If you want to wake up at 4 in the morning, if you want to do them at 11 o'clock at night, and I write you back pretty quickly. Within 2 to 3 days, I'm giving you individualized feedback on those classes. So that's why we say Friday is yours, Monday is yours, and your 3 days that you are responsible for class sessions is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. One last thing before I turn it over to Dean Garkanian, and then during Q&A, happy to take any kinds of questions that you have on this. Even though you're only coming to class 3 days a week, and even though we call it a part-time program, we want you to know there's a lot of work involved. It's very doable, it's manageable, but you're going to have to really plan your week so that you have a good time management to sort of fit in your studying, fit in your asynchronous work, fit in the kind of assignments that you might have over the course of the semester. We have found that this schedule, students are very, very happy with it. It has given them a great balance of being able to be at home and being able to be at school and being able to work with friends and be with friends. So I'm going to stop sharing that now just as a backdrop to what these 3 fabulous students had in their first semester. And I'm looking at them and I can see they've walked down memory lane going, oh, first semester, yes, I remember that. And let me turn it over to Dean Garkanian, who's going to present this fabulous panel for us.
Thanks so much, Professor Carpenter. So everyone, what you just heard about is the academic program, right? So the in-class courses, whether the classes are meeting in person or via Zoom, or you're doing asynchronous work. But there's so much learning that happens outside of the classroom. And the myth, if we're going to single out, one myth with attending an evening program, doing law school part-time, is that for part-time students, for evening students, you can't take advantage of all these great opportunities outside of the classroom. So we're going to tell you otherwise. And of course, we have Kristen and Michael and Elena, who have fabulous information and advice and stories to share, but what they're sharing goes for all of our evening students, all of our part-time students. And to provide a context, I think it's important for you to hear from them in terms of what their life outside of school looks like. So they've all mentioned that they work. Let's hear, what's your workday life? Are there other responsibilities or obligations that you have? So that we're setting a context about what you're going to share next. So Elena, why don't you go first? We'll just take it alphabetically based on first name.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dean Garahani. I mentioned that I'm employed full time, and this is probably the main reason why I decided to join part time over traditional. At that time, I support myself, so I didn't see the option of joining traditional and not being able to, earn an income to support myself through law school, essentially. And I had the job, and they were very supportive at that time, and now too, frankly, to join the evening program versus the day program. And I don't regret it a single bit. And I usually don't work 40 hours. 40 hours is the standard. Sometimes my weeks would be like 60 hours, 50 to 60 hours. So it's pretty, I'm fortunate not to have any family obligations that were actually distract me from that, but I believe it's totally doable even with that. But I do have a full-time job, and this is why I decided to join the part-time evening program.
Thanks, Elena. Kristen?
Yeah, so very similar to Elena. Like I said, I work full-time currently as a paralegal. I'm in-house, so probably I would say a law firm is a little bit more intense than my job, but I typically work between 40 and 50 hours a week. I think definitely with COVID, things got a little bit more difficult. A lot of my department got laid off, so I went from like a team of 5 to a team of 2, so that got a little bit more intense for me. And I think kind of the same. I have supported myself actually throughout my entire college career. And so I didn't really see an option either of kind of taking a traditional route. And I didn't want to take out all the loans for my expenses. So I decided to pursue a part-time program instead of going full-time. And I guess outside of work and school, I have a husband and I have 2, not children, but I like to call them children, 2 fur babies.
They take time too. Thanks, Kristen. Michael?
Thanks, Dean Garahani. So as I mentioned before, I work for a criminal defense firm. We're a small firm. It is the owner of the firm and then 3 other attorneys and myself. So I usually work at least 60 hours a week, pretty much, always working, but, still, as Professor Carpenter was kind of going over the schedule, they make the schedule just doable for people that are like us, that are, working professionals and have busy schedules, but they factor all that in, and they just, are able to make it work. So even with demanding work schedules, you still can get your studies done too and be successful. So we're a small firm, and I've been there for a long time, almost a decade. So part of the reason why I wanted to do the evening program was because I didn't want to leave that job. I'm probably going to stay there as an attorney once I graduate and pass the bar. So that was factored into my decision to enter the evening program. And Southwestern does such a good job of making the schedule where people can complete the coursework on their part of it on their own, that it's just, they just made it doable, and so everyone can do that. So so that was part of my thing. I being in LA is very expensive. I also wanted to kind of work and be able to support myself as well. And also during law school, I got engaged, got married, and had a baby, on top of everything else. So it seems like a lot at first, and sometimes it is, but you learn, especially the first year, you just learn how to manage your time. You adapt, you become effective at taking advantage of the free time that you do have to focus on your studies and do well. And that's one thing I want to kind of drive home tonight for all of you, that if we can do it, you can do it as well. There's nothing special about us. You just have to do it.
So thank you, Michael. And I'm going to say there is something very special about you and about Kristen and about Elena and about all of our evening students. I mean, I think, people who decide to do law school and do it on a part-time basis in the evening after working so many hours, I mean, you have serious responsibilities, serious commitments, family, other obligations. There's this incredible commitment. There's this incredible resilience. So you are all very, very special. And on top of everything that you described, I know all three of you are involved in different ways with school programs. So Elena, Michael, I'm going to start with you in terms of your involvement with honors programs. And so Elena, would you talk about your honors program involvements and kind of explain with respect to each what they are? And then Michael, we'll hear from you, and then we'll talk about different involvements that Kristen has and the two of you as well.
Yes, so I will start by emphasizing that this is also it's one of the most publicized myths out there, that you as an evening student cannot be involved in extracurriculars. You totally can, and it's totally doable, even with the limited times that we have. So during my first year in law school, I was very hesitant on joining any type of programs because I wasn't sure. It's a learning curve. You adapt to the new environment, to the new learning skills. Me as an international student was even more complicated for me because I always felt that imposter syndrome that I'm not worthy enough, so I have to work more. But it is totally doable. During my law school career, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Moot Court Honors program, initially as a member. And then I was selected to be on the board of governors the following year as the academic chair and internal rounds chair. I also served as a staffer on the law review, Southwestern Law Review, and currently, this year I am the incoming editor-in-chief for the Southwestern Law Review, something that I'm absolutely proud of. I'm proud of all my achievements, but just some of them came harder than the others, I think. And also I'm a Dean's Fellows for 2 years in a row, a very important program at Southwestern, just like all the others. I was a research assistant for Professor Carpenter here, and currently a research assistant for Professor Epstein, trying to dig into media law right now and learning a completely new field. And yeah, I did an externship through Dean Garkanyan's office. I think that's it for now. Yeah, mainly that. And I think you guys, it seems like a lot, but it's totally doable. As Michael mentioned, as I'm the evening student, and I can be a prime example of how you can make so much out of so little time, and you can leave a footprint and a good mark, and contribute to elevating the school's reputation and your personal growth.
Such a nice way to put it in terms of how you benefit, but also how you contribute to the school and the 115-year history and everybody who's come before you and how you contribute to these programs. Elena, can you describe what Moot Court is? And then I'm going to ask Michael to describe what Law Review is.
Of course, Moot Court is my second love, my first love, I would say. It will always be in my heart. Moot Court, just so you guys have an understanding, it's a mock Supreme Court. You get to write your own brief, an actual Supreme Court brief. It's for a competition, but you get to write your own brief, and then you get to argue in front of a panel of judges, of a large panel of judges. It is a full year program. You join initially if you're selected. You join as a member, and then with the perspective or the opportunity to apply for a board position the following year. So it is a learning experience. It is a journey, a beautiful journey. I was so afraid of public speaking. As you guys know, I mentioned this. I was so afraid. I had no public speaking whatsoever, and also like facing my accent and trying to kill my accent, and always being like self-confident and self-conscious about how do I go in front of judges and argue. But this year, me and my team, we argued. We went to a national competition, and we actually made it. We got the second place at a national competition. We argued before a panel of 9 appellate Supreme Court justices, appellate circuit justices, phenomenal, impressive people. And I'm just something that it's so proud, and it's something that you will only get in law school and nowhere else, and probably only at Southwestern.
Great explanation what the program is. Thank you. Michael, you're also involved with law review, so if you can talk about, how you manage that and what law review is.
Sure. I would not want to go against Elena in any kind of competition. She's incredible and a force to be reckoned with. So I'm also on law review as a board member. I'm a lead articles editor this year. So law review is, last year I was a staffer as well. So, we get either some student articles, professors write articles, you get articles from all over, academic articles. And if you're on the law review program, you start as a staffer. You're kind of the first line of defense for, editing the articles, fixing the citations in the articles, and then it kind of goes up the chain. Then the longer you're on law review, you can move up into higher positions. Law review is I've really enjoyed it. It's been one of the best experiences I've had at Southwestern. I honestly didn't think I could do it, or had time to do it, or whatever, but just decided to go for it, and was really glad that I did. It's been it's obviously something that people look for on resumes, and it's just a very positive thing. You become a better writer, a better editor, and the law review at Southwestern is really incredible. We're very happy to have Elena as the editor-in-chief this year. She's amazing. So it's a very positive experience. And as an evening student, you absolutely have time to do these kind of honors programs that are offered at Southwestern. They're, again, they have meetings at night or on the weekend, or times when evening students actually can, they're not at work, they can participate. So you're not, I just really want to also emphasize, you're just the evening students are afforded every opportunity as full-time students and day students, and that's something that I just really appreciate about Southwestern.
Could I mention something, Dean Garkanian?
Sure.
Because I think everybody on the call could say, okay, I see Kristen and Michael and Elena, and I can tell they're special, and you've brought out the 3 very special people, and they are very special. But the truth is, our first year intramural competition just happened in our 3 tracks, negotiation, trial ad, and moot court. And in all 3 tracks, our evening students did extraordinarily well. They ended up, our evening students ended up in moot court, and Professor Jarvis can weigh in over here. There were 6 that ended up in the top with the oralists, second place winner. All of them will be applying for moot court this next year. And the same was true of trial ad, and is true of negotiation program. Sometimes the chair of negotiation is an evening student. Same was moot court. 2 out of the 3 years it's been the evening students. So this is something that really is attainable. And it doesn't just have to be these programs. I know that Dingar Kanian is going to move on to the other kinds of opportunities that await. But really to say to you that all of these kinds of programs are available to so many of our evening program.
That's right. They're available and they're considered elective courses. So you do receive unit credit toward the total number of units that you need for graduation. What was mentioned in terms of being an RA or TA, those are just positions that you take on. And of course, it gives you a lot of experience and great connection with faculty. Those are truly extracurricular. But the honors programs that we've been talking about, they are part of our courses and curriculum. So Kristen, you have a unique situation where you've been able to do an externship even though you are working full-time. And so if you could talk about that opportunity and how you made it happen.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So I actually just did an externship this semester. I just finished it up a few weeks ago. I was able to do a 3-unit externship with my current employer. So what that looked like, for the 13-week course, I spent, or I think it was it 13 weeks? Or am I mixing up the hours? 13 weeks and about 13 hours a week. I worked with my supervisor to work on more attorney type of work. So I think that was interesting for me because, as a paralegal and working in the legal field, I was kind of wondering, what is this switch between paralegal and attorney? Like how is my world going to be different? I work on a lot of legal work now, but what's the difference? Like what's the switch going to be? So that was a really great opportunity for me to be able to actually, do more than kind of like the administrative work that I got to do. I got to learn a lot from all of the attorneys in my department. Some of the things I was able to do, they had me. So I'm as I mentioned, I'm an in-house paralegal. So my work is a little bit more broad than some other people. So I work on employment litigation. I work on general liability litigation, which is kind of like your slip and fall type cases. I work on contracts. I work on corporate law, kind of trademark and IP type of work. So I kind of have a very broad type of knowledge from my work. So I was able to kind of negotiate contracts. I was able to prepare different written consents and things for our board meetings. I got to work a little bit more heavily with our outside counsel on some class action and PAGA litigation that we were doing. So I got, it was a great opportunity for me to kind of take a step further than what my current position is.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Kristen. So we do have this flexible option for our students who work full-time or almost full-time to still do externships. So an externships is the same concept as internships. In the law school world, we call them externships. Again, an elective course with unit credit.
Why do you keep stopping?
Hi, Jen, we can hear you. Jen Williams, if you want to put your.
I am so sorry, I'm in traffic.
No worries at all. So we do provide these opportunities that you could do the elective course. One way of doing it is what Kristen described. If you work for an employer that has a legal department or you're with a law firm, and if they're going to agree that for those 13 hours a week, for example, they're going to treat you like a student. So it's not going to be an employer-employee relationship, but the teacher-student relationship, and the work that you're going to do, the training you're going to get is going to be different from your regular work. Another option is limited units. If all you could do is just carve out X number of hours during the course of the fall, spring semesters, or summer session, we can work with that limited availability that you have. And then the third option is a fully remote externship. Of course, in the past couple of years, so much of our externship program has been fully remote. But as we're getting back to in person, we will still have the remote option for students who work full-time or almost full-time. So I have one more question for our panelists, and then I hope you've been thinking about questions that you want to ask the panelists or ask Professors Carpenter or DeJarvis about the curriculum or the program. So think about those questions, jot them down. But my last question to our panelists is, as you were starting the evening program, were there some myths that were hanging over your head and kind of worrying you? And as you started law school, you were so pleasantly surprised that that's all they were myths. Whoever would like to go first.
I can go first real quick. I mentioned already the resources and the fact that you can be an active law student while being an evening student at the same time. I stand wholeheartedly behind that. And I think we are no different than any other student at Southwestern in any other program. In fact, and I'm going to lack a little modesty here, I feel like we're more perseverant at times, and we're pushing harder than others sometimes, because we know how to hustle, we know how to push forward, we know how to support ourselves, we know how to work hard and to always treasure and respect and appreciate what we achieve. The other myth is that I was told initially when I joined law school is to keep my guards up because there's no friendship in law school. That was totally wrong, because I was told that you compete against your own cohort and against your own, what you would think would be friends, and they are your friends. There's no competition. The evening program, we did not feel, I never felt this competition that everyone was talking about. I never felt like I'm competing against Michael. Michael, in fact, is, to tell you guys quickly the story, he's my first friend in law school. He approached me on day one of law school, even before we joined. He's like, how are you? Do you need anything? He felt like I'm scared there, and I was just like alone. And he's like, do you need anything? And that's how our friendship started. And since that day, we were never separated. I've been through him through his entire journey. He's been through my journey as well. And the same with Kristen. There is friendship in law school. And in fact, these are my true best friends. I have a team of 45 best friends, some of them who even ended up, deciding that law school isn't for them. For example, we're transferring somewhere else. We're still best friends. We have a huge group chat. We lift each other up. We never let each other, be sad or doubt themselves. We always push each other forward, and we attend each other's events. I'm going to go to Michael's, to his daughter's birthday party next week. So friendship totally exists in law school. It's the most kindest and the most genuine one you can find.
Thank you so much, Elena. Michael, you want to go next?
Sure. I don't know if I can top that, but so I think maybe what I was thinking going in was for the evening program, I didn't know, am I going to get the same kind of education? Am I going to get the same quality of education? Am I going to get the same quality of professors? And that myth was quickly put to bed for me. After one class of Professor Carpenter's criminal law class is amazing. And I was also lucky enough to, Dean Garkanian was teaching laws at that time. I'm not sure if she's still teaching laws now, but the legal writing class, just incredible. You get the same, but the point is you get it's the same professors who are amazing, and they actually, they stay and teach the night classes. No one's in a rush to run away after class. The professors stay after class and answer all your questions. The quality of the education was surprising to me. And, going in, I just didn't know if it was gonna going to kind of be the same. And I was kind of blown away by how impressive it was. The other part that I didn't quite know about going in was the quality of, as Professor Carpenter mentioned, you're on campus for a few nights, and the rest is asynchronous, meaning watching some kind of by video and on your own time. I'm not old, but I'm kind of old school, so I didn't know if I would like the asynchronous part of it, because I do like to be on, in class and with people. But I'll tell you, the quality of the video classes and everything was, I was very surprised. I was very surprised that it's the same or better than just the regular in-person classes. So again, I was just very impressed, and I've been very pleased with the quality of education that I've been receiving.
Thanks, Michael. Kristen?
Yes, I think I'll call it a fear that I had coming into it is I was really, really concerned about, just being completely overwhelmed between working full time, going to school, my trying to maybe have a personal life. And so I was really apprehensive about starting law school and doing a part-time program. And I think that, I can't speak for other schools, but I will say that Southwestern's evening program is probably one of the most supportive programs. I think there is. We have amazing professors, and the faculty all kind of gather together to make sure that this is manageable for us and that we succeed. And it really is manageable. I won't say it's easy, but I will say that they do everything in their power to make sure that we, don't get burnt out. We aren't overwhelmed. We aren't trying to, kind of pick and choose whether we're going to, succeed at work or succeed at school. We have a very great balance, as much a balance as we can have. So I would say that was definitely a myth that has been debunked for me.
Dean Barkanian, Kristen's statement about being overwhelmed, which is such a normal thought. We had a great question in the chat, which Elena answered as well. But perhaps the other two can speak about your schedule, how you do physically juggle your 7-day week. When is it that you do study? And reminding all of us that everybody will do it a little bit differently, and everybody has different hours in the day, but it might be helpful to hear, kind of be flies on the wall, and hear what their weeks look like. So Kristen, what was your schedule for yourself? All of you work full time. When did you do your studying? When did you do your asynchronous work?
Yeah, so I usually I do majority of my work on the weekends. I feel like that works the best for me, because when I don't have school, after work, then, I like to kind of try to take that time as much as I can to, just kind of relax, so to say, or go and do, more personal things like trying to work out, or go on a walk, something that kind of lets me just clear my mind a little bit and have some personal time for myself. So I usually do my work and my studying on the weekend. So I usually schedule out my Saturday pretty much. I start kind of in the morning around 9 a.m. and go until about 3 or 4 o'clock. And then Sunday, I kind of do the same thing, just depending on, the time in the semester and what I have ahead of me, what my class load looks like. And if we, I don't think that, well, I guess we did have asynchronous classes this week. I was trying to think back to previous semesters, but I usually will either do that on the weekend, or if I have more to do on the weekend, then I will just do the asynchronous class during the time that, that we would normally have class. So if it was like on a Tuesday, I would just kind of do it during the class time and get it done then.
For me, it's changed a little bit. The first couple years is, your schedule is pretty much laid out for you. So like kind of like Kristen, I pretty much did most of my studying on the weekends, and then I try to read ahead for the upcoming week, and I found that to be pretty effective. But then, especially this last year, I've actually been able to, you get to pick and choose your schedule a little bit more, and I've actually, there are some Saturday weekend classes that have been made available, and I've been taking advantage of those. So during the week has been a little bit easier, and I have a Saturday class or something. So after work at night, I am able to kind of get some of my reading done during the week, and then everything else is on the weekend. But it's kind of a process. I mean, you have to see what works for you, but you do, you can absolutely find the time to get it done.
So we do have time for other questions. Anyone who has a question, no question is too small or silly. If it's on your mind, probably somebody else is thinking about it. And even if they're not, you should get your questions answered. And we want to answer your questions. So please jump in, Catherine.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I was just wondering, is there a limit on the amount of units one can take during the semester as a part-time program?
Yes, so part-time students take between 8 and 11 units. In the first year, both fall in spring semesters, and then in the second year, fall semester, your courses are scheduled for you. They're determined for you. Second year, spring, you have some required courses, but there's plenty of room for electives. And then over the summer, every summer we have an 8-week summer session, and typically part-time students will take some courses over 1 or 2 summer sessions. You can take up to 6 units over the summer. Rachel?
Thank you.
There were, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
Thank you. And thank you for today's presentation. It was really, really informative. I really appreciate the panel and for all of you guys hosting this event. I just had a quick question specifically about clinical programs. I was wondering if in the part-time program, if a lot of your students do participate in clinics, and if any of the students on the panel are currently involved in any clinics at the moment.
So I'll answer the first part of your question. So clinics, for everybody's benefit, is basically the concept of law schools running law firms in different practice areas. And we have multiple clinics: children's rights, eviction defense, immigration, etc., entertainment and arts clinic. And so what we try to do is every year to schedule at least one clinic to meet during the evening hours, so that it's available to evening students during the evening. But of course, if evening students can carve out time to enroll in these clinics, typically they meet once a week in the afternoon, sometimes it's in the morning, you can do that. But we specifically schedule a clinic every year that meets in the evening. As far as students, Elena, I think you worked with the Children's Rights Clinic, but over the summer.
I did, yes. I did work over the summer with the Children's Rights Clinic, and I can tell you that it's, again, one of a kind experience that you can get, because you can actually have your mark on an actual case and work with an actual person who needs your help so much, and I absolutely loved it. I still keep in touch with the people I worked with, because you develop an immense bond with the people that you help, and you kind of, yeah, I shouldn't be saying they should take you home, but you shouldn't take home, but you kind of like, you inherently build this bond with them, and you want to know what's happening with you in the future. So it's something that Southwestern has to offer. And I know I have classmates of mine who were involved in the appellate clinic, and also the children's rights clinic in the evening, like Dean Garkanian mentioned, and they absolutely loved it.
One of the things, Rachel, that happens often for our evening warriors is there's a transition that many make where they are in their full-time position, and maybe they stay in that full-time position through all 4 years. But some of them change over and they change jobs just so that they can be involved in clinical opportunities in their 3rd and 4th years. So you start to see transitional work, and I see our students nodding about that. And we do a lot of counseling actually for our evening students to say, when do you think you want to make the leap? You don't have to, but when do you think you might want to make it, and how can we help you do that so that you might graduate not necessarily with the current job you had when you started law school, but with a different vision in mind. Everybody gets to that finish line in a little bit of a different way. We also have a couple of new clinics. We have 12 clinics, and one of the newest ones, the newest kid on the block that we're so excited about, Dean Garkanian, instrumental in this, is we have joined forces with Loyola on the Innocence Project. And we have 4 to 5 students, year-long program, including evening students, who are able to be part of the Innocence Project, housed at Loyola. There are requirements, and we send out notices and announcements about it. But we're very excited for our evening program members to be part of clinical opportunities. Thank you for that question.
I have a few questions in the chat that I'm going to pull up real quick. I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter in the background. Has anyone ever did an externship virtually or remote? And are there any remote opportunities for participation in clinics?
So with respect to clinics, all of our clinics moving forward are going to be in person. Of course, during COVID, we had shifted the work of the clinics, but the expectation for this coming year and beyond is to be in person. With respect to remote externships, Kristen, you were remote for part of the time, is that right?
Yeah, I was actually remote for the full time. I work fully remote for my job, so I did the entire internship remotely.
And our current plan is to work with the individual student and the individual, placement to see if the remote field work makes sense. It's always nice to be in the office if your health allows, if the public health situation allows, to be in the middle of the hustle and bustle of what's going on in a particular office. But we have been flexible with remote work. Julie, were there other questions that you wanted to share from chat?
Yes, there's another one. Someone asked if there was a curve at Southwestern and if anybody could speak to that, a grading curve. And then I have one more after that.
Professor Carpenter, do you want to address that or?
Sure. We don't have a grading curve in the traditional sense of the word that you know about it from college, where there has to be X amount of A's, X amount of B's, X amount of C's, X amount of whatevers. That's what a normal curve is. We do have a fixed mean and median point, which just creates consistency among all professors and all sections. And so our mean median point is around B minus B, depending upon where we sit, but nobody has to give out Ds. Nobody has to fail people. That's not the way it works here. We just have to make sure that no matter what class you take, you're not in a class with a particularly hard professor and somebody's in a class with a very, very easy professor. The fixed mean median is a way to normalize and make consistent across all sections, all programs, all professors. I hope that helps. And we have a good standing requirement of 233. And so with a GPA of 2930, you can see where all of that fits.
And then I have one more that was asked in the chat, and this is a good one, I think. Anytime any of you felt burnt out, and how did you get over that hump?
Can the faculty join in on that? It's a wonderful universal question for everybody, right? I'm sure everybody on this call in your own job, even if you don't are in law school, have that kind of burnout. To our students, have you ever been burned out?
What is being burned out? I have no idea what that is. And that was completely disingenuous. No, it happens. If I can tell you right now that it didn't happen, it never happens, I will be disingenuous, because at some moments it does happen because you put too much in yourself and you realize that what do I do next? I feel like I have too much. Like, why did I do this to myself? And then what I realized that helped me is take a step back from everything that you're doing. I've heard this saying that you cannot pour from empty vessels, right? You have to fill those vessels in order to be able to pour. So I take a step back, I meditate, I go to yoga, and I come back to my homework, and it feels like brand new, brand new journey, because you're already energetic. Or speak to someone. What helped me too is speaking to someone and telling them how you feel. We have incredible resources on campus. We have resources who are always there to listen. We have our our specialized therapist on campus who can help you and talk to you, and you can tell them what bothers you, and they'll come with an advice. And your classmates are probably the best resource too, because they feel exactly what you feel. But that moment will come, and you shouldn't be giving up. It's a matter of taking a break, coming back to it, and push forward. It's actually a learning experience from that too, because you grow every time. You feel like, oh, this is just too much for me, it's so hard right now. But it's an opportunity to grow, because we grow from challenges. We don't grow from smooth sailing, right? So it's totally doable. And I love challenges, and you guys will love them too, because law school is challenging, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah, I will predict your first burnout. It usually happens around the second week of October. You join law school, everybody's so excited for you. Oh my God, your family's excited. You're excited. You read your first case, you say, I'll never forget this first case. And then by your 15th case, and then your 30th case, and then somewhere around the first week of October, when the work has started to pile up, your friends are saying, I don't want to hear again that you can't be with me. Your family is saying, what do you mean you can't come for dinner? Your boss is going, oh, I'm really glad you're in law school. But all of a sudden, that second week of October is when the tedium of case number 1,000 hits, and I'm seeing the students nod. It happens. And the best part, there are two good parts, and Elena mentioned actually both of them, or three parts. Self-care, self-care, self-care. You have to do some of that. Remember your why. Remember the why. Remember why you're on this call. Remember what's made you decide that you think you want to go to law school. And then the third thing is you just push forward with the most basic of steps. If that means you read 2 cases, you read 2 cases, and you just put one foot in front of the other to help you get through that time. And we look forward to really sharing and helping you all support and go through that October slump, which is just so natural.
So Jennifer, you have had your hand up. We're at the end of the hour, but let's take your question before we wrap up.
Okay, thank you guys so much for this. I'm so happy that Elena, Christine, and Michael, you guys, are in full-time work as well as part-time school. And that's how I'm going to be going into this as well. And I do work around 50 to 60 hours a day. So it's really encouraging that, I know people now that are dealing with it and having to adapt and, as well as having burnout. So I do appreciate all your personal feedback on that. One of my questions is, what would you guys say has been the most successful approach as a law school student academically, as well as being able to successfully accomplish all those programs, clinics, externships that you guys are able to do at this time?
That's a great question. I'll take it if no one else minds. I mean, I think one of the common traits you'll see amongst, the students that tend to do well are, they all have grit. No one gives up easily, and like kind of everyone has said, you have to have expectations going into school that you understand that it's going to be a challenge. There's going to be tough days. Like anything else worthwhile, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So just realizing that going in, coming up with a plan, putting a support system in place, having conversations with your family. I'm not going to be able to maybe be available as I used to be. If people understand, you just communicate with people, and you'll find, I think, that people are understanding. But just having the right expectations going in, and having kind of a plan for yourself, and realizing that it's okay to be tired. It's okay to have tough days, and just keep on pushing through. Talk to your classmates about it. I agree with Elena. I think in addition to all the great resources that Southwestern does have, and maybe some family and friends that students have, for me, I always just, the best moments for me are after class, just shooting the breeze with my classmates and complaining about this or talking about that. It's very therapeutic and helpful. But yeah, having good expectations going in, and kind of having a good plan is important.
Elena or Kristen, do you want to jump in with any last comments?
Yes, sure. So Professor Carpenter already mentioned, do not forget your why, and you'll see across like your journey, your law school journey, you'll be constantly reminded, because this is something that we forget. We naturally forget because we get swamped, we get involved in all these things, but we sometimes forget what is the why behind it. Like, why am I here? Why did I join law school to begin with? And this is such a great motivation, at least for me. And generally, I have a friend of mine in law school. She's I think she's a 2L. She has a huge banner behind her on Zoom, and it says, "Remember your why." And this is so important, because we have to remember why we're here, and that is and constantly challenge yourself, but at the same time be kind to yourself, because it is important to know that acknowledge that we are not perfect. We sometimes we can't keep up, and give yourself a pat on the shoulder and be proud of yourself, but at the same time that it's going to give you the motivation that you need to move forward. And yeah, we do have incredible resources. I believe that Southwestern is probably, and this is in part why I joined Southwestern, because not a single other school has to offer so many resources as we do offer. There's a resource for everything, literally for everything. And when you don't know the answer, either ask your classmates. You can always ask us. You can ask your evening directors, and the evening program is the only program who actually has that that bond between us, because we have we're the cohort, we're called the evening warriors. So we're actually getting shout outs when we achieve something. Do you know how powerful and encouraging that is? It's absolutely incredible, and not a single program has that. So we feel like we're connected to 4Ls to 1Ls. We're friends together, we always talk. So get over the barrier of like, I'm not supposed to be sharing stuff in law school. You are supposed to, and it feels so great when you talk to people who know how you feel. And talking to someone who knows how you feel is so empowering and encouraging.
Professor Carpenter, were you gonna say
Yes.
something? Good.
Yes, you've all been so gracious and generous with your time. We've already gone 10 minutes over. We want to thank you so much for your participation, your presence. To our student members, of this incredible panel. Thank you so much for coming. I think 2 of them may even have an exam tomorrow. Good Lord, but we thank you for being here. Yes, a shout out to all of them. I hope this was very informative, helpful for you. We're all going to put our emails in the chat, and please feel free to reach out to any of us. We look forward to hearing from you. As Dinkar Kanian said, there is no question that's too small. Sometimes the smallest questions turn out to be the most important. All right, so let us say thank you, everybody. Good night.